Most law firms are battling anonymity online, and it's killing your conversion rate. Welcome to the Lawyer Millionaire Podcast, helping law firm owners grow their businesses and their wealth. I'm your host, Darren Wurz. Are you spending money on marketing but still struggling to convert leads into clients? You're not alone. Many law firm owners are throwing money at ads while unknowingly sabotaging their intake and online presence. Today's episode will show you what's wrong and how to fix it. Before we dive in, quick heads up, join our Lawyer Millionaire Listener Challenge. Just leave a review of the show, share your favorite episode with a friend or on social media, then head on over to lawyermillionaire.com/challenge to submit your entry. You could win a $100 gift card, a signed copy of my book, or even a private strategy session with yours truly. It just takes 60 seconds. Go do it now. We're here with Tanner Jones. Tanner, thank you so much for joining us today.
Glad to be here, Darren. Thank you.
Well, great. Before we dive in, we've got a great topic today, which is marketing. Of course, every law firm owner's favorite topic, Tell our audience a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Certainly. Yes. Marketing, I'll start with marketing as a just big picture. Marketing is definitely one of those love-hate relationships. And for a lot of law firms, it's a volatile world. There are a lot of ups and downs. And so that's really the heart of what we're doing, is helping to build more consistency in a firm's case pipeline so that they're not having to deal with the valleys, those troughs seasons, which are obviously very difficult, puts a lot of pressure on a lot of team members, and in many instances unnecessarily. So I'm with Consultwebs. I've been with Consultwebs now for 16 years. I'm the vice president of business development. Consultwebs themselves have been around since 1999, one of the longest standing legal focused digital marketing companies in the country. And our founder, Del Tincher, had the foresight to really see the value of niching down way before it really became a very popular effort, especially online. And so where we help firms in particular is specifically through digital marketing. We manage their websites. We build those websites. We have developers, programmers on staff. We have licensed attorney, writers, and editors on staff. And if you've done any digital marketing, you understand content is a major player in that. And again, the whole focus is on building a consistent book of business. And that's what Consultwebs is known for, is coming in, shooting straight, developing a unique strategy around your law firm, your competition, and going head to head with some of the strongest firms in the market to win those cases through digital.
Okay, great. All right, so you're the guy. So let me pose a challenge to you here. Let's say you're doing, we know what we're supposed to be doing here, kind of in theory, right? Let's say you're a law firm and you're running digital ads and you're getting lots of leads, but your close rate, your convert rate is like 4%. You're getting tons of leads, and it's a problem because you're having to hire intake people to manage these leads, to talk to these people. And, it might be a close issue, but maybe it's an issue of just not getting the right leads. How do we fix that problem?
Yeah, that's a complex issue. And I mean, really, the complexity of it is that it's because every firm is different. You mentioned a 4% conversion rate, and I have some medical malpractice clients that a 4% conversion rate on leads would be absolutely killing it. Generally speaking, less than 1% conversion rate is somewhat the norm for complex medical malpractice cases that are in many instances going to land in trial because of the complexity of them. And so I would caution your listeners to immediately take that number and begin assessing against their conversion rate, because no two firms are going to be equal. Some firms, in fact, could be converting at 50%. If they're in such a niche down business and it's such a unique case type, no one else is doing it, naturally you should have a high conversion rate. But let's speak specifically to, if you're starting a digital marketing campaign, simply being able to track that metric, Darren, is an important benchmark, because you need to have, what is the ground level? Like, what are we starting with? If we get 10 leads in a month and we're signing 5 of those, Well, you have a good benchmark of a 50% conversion rate on those leads. That's probably unheard of for most law firms out there, but it's still a really good metric to look at to begin with before you've started dumping dollars into marketing. Because now you can work off of that benchmark and really identify red flag issues if you determine that conversion rate is starting to dip. Now, there are other layers in that, depending on what your intake is set up to do. There are some firms that allow phone calls to come directly into their attorneys, and they basically a rotation of attorneys picking those calls up, which is absolutely ludicrous in the marketing world. Your time is way too valuable to be handling calls that are converting at less than 20%. And so what I would suggest is really evaluate your internal intake process. It shouldn't be that complicated. For the end user, for your prospective client, what do they want? Ask yourself, if you're calling for a roof repair or, a deck staining at your house, some of, these are not legal services, but you still have a desire, just an internal desire to be served well, to be respected in that initial process, to be heard, for your questions to be answered and not interrogated. And the same is true. In fact, it's even more significant when someone's calling into a lawyer, because this is often the first time they have ever contacted a law firm in their life. And so, Darren, what I would encourage law firms to do is really look intentionally at your intake. What kind of experience are they providing? If you're not recording those calls and have a way to be accountable around it, that's a good place to start. Build accountability around intake, track the metrics. And what you measure matters, and to your team, what you measure matters, and they're going to focus much more intentionally around improving those conversion rate numbers.
Getting those KPIs, measuring those things,
yes,
and then finding out what makes it's a work in progress, and it's an experiment in progress in many ways, right?
And so many factors can evolve those numbers, like you mentioned. Just the whole idea of how do you identify the issue? Well, it starts with having those KPIs in place. And sometimes if you have multiple intake people, you'll identify very quickly one is much more superior to the other. And the only way you're going to know that is if you're truly tracking as granularly as the individual intake team members and their conversion abilities.
Yeah. So there's no secret you can give us that's the secret magic key, right?
Well, we're in the age of AI, right? And we're seeing so much evolution in the legal space. And I'm hearing just recently in the latest conferences, there are now AI intake companies where they could even mimic your attorney voice or your intake team member's voice, and the nuances of those, how you speak, your dialect, all of that. Can you imagine them trying to replicate my country accent? But it's happening right now. And the big thing is that, I immediately have pause on that. But the question is, if you are missing 20% of your calls already because of your current process, if you're able to, as of tomorrow, start answering 100% of your calls leaning on that type of technology, who am I to say that technology is hurting us as a society? As long as it's still serving. And my opinion on that is be forthcoming. If you're using that technology, make sure your users understand that. Don't try to pull the wool over their eyes in that. And you can really lean in and embrace this type of technology to serve your clients even better.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. What is working? Okay, so you identified an issue, which is there are lots of different types of law firms focused on different niches, and that may have a big impact on what works for you. Let's say maybe like immigration, like lowish value, high volume kind of practices. Mm-hmm. What kind of things are working well today that are maybe underutilized?
A piece to marketing that a lot of law firms tend to ignore is the power of brand recall, the understanding of brand, and being able to relate a name to how you help the actual service itself. And so that is one area that has been neglected for a long, long time. There's a reason why firms have spent historically tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands a month in television advertising and other traditional ads like billboards and bus wraps and radio and everything in between, because it helps to really infuse your brand and the meaning behind your brand into their brains, into their minds. And brand recallability is one of the most undervalued piece to marketing, because naturally, if you're investing in any type of advertising, let's say you're running ads on Facebook, well, there are two ads alike. And if you are running your ads where you have historically been pushing your brand through, whether it's traditional advertising like I referenced or other digital advertising like social media and other paid ads, what you're doing is you're increasing the likelihood of someone to actually take time to consume the ad, consume the content and relate to that content, and most importantly, to convert from that. We've also seen Google over the last 10 plus years pushing the acronym EAT, and they've layered on another E to that, EEAT now: experience, expertise, authority, and trust. These are the areas that Google is imploring website owners, webmasters to really focus on reinforcing online. How do you showcase, publicize your EAT factors, your experience? How long have you practiced? And how many cases have you handled? Everything that obviously that you're allowed to deliver publicly, whether, if there are case results that you're not allowed to share, then obviously, be cognizant of that. But anything and everything you can do to represent your experience and expertise around your niche practice online, starting with your website, those aspects will help to drive your marketing. And we find it time and time again, Darren, the firms that are investing in brand are consistently seeing a lower cost per client acquisition. So it's costing them less to acquire cases because of the power that their brand is supporting their ads, their SEO, and everywhere else they're showing up online.
Interesting. Okay, so that was EEAT. What experience is the first one? What are the last three?
Experience, expertise, authority, and trust.
Okay.
And so practically speaking, I mentioned case results, reviews, testimonials. These are all powerful ways to illustrate your expertise, authority, and trust. And I would encourage you to go well beyond Google. We've been preaching Google for many, many years, but we're seeing this fragmentation of search engines across even generative search platforms like ChatGPT that are growing in popularity. Well, it's the same concept. These engines still need some type of framework to assess a brand, to assess a website. And so they're out there they're crawling the web to identify what are the signals that illustrate this particular brand, their expertise, authority, trustworthiness.
You need to be thinking about optimizing for AI search, like ChatGPT search and stuff like that. And how do we do that?
Yeah, fantastic question. And you should be. Any law firm that is interested in being able to grow their book of business through digital should not neglect Google by any means. So don't hear me wrong. Google is still the 800-pound gorilla in the marketplace, owning 90% of share of search. But we're seeing this dramatic rise in things like Claude, Perplexity, ChatGPT, Gronk. These are all powerful platforms. And our clients are really in the beginning of the year started to see more referral traffic coming through platforms like ChatGPT. And so that's what I would encourage every law firm owner that's listening. Work with your digital marketing partner to identify where is our referral traffic coming from today. Because these platforms are so fragmented, and it's like colloquialisms in life. You go from one place to the next in this country, and you're going to find that people are using different platforms. Up in the Pacific Northwest, Bing is a very popular search engine, whereas Google is really owning the lion's share of search in other places throughout the country. So understand your market and what's currently driving traffic. From there, you can identify where are the platforms to prioritize, because when the sea is so vast, it can get overwhelming and it leads to paralysis. And so I would encourage you to start focused, look at what's already driving incremental traffic, and begin to test your visibility in these platforms. We're actively building a ranking analysis tool for all of these different fragmented generative search platforms. So there is technology coming available to allow people to really see where they're ranking and how well they're showing against competition in these platforms for their practice areas. But start with just manual searches. Go in there. Who is the best personal injury law firm in San Diego? Who is the most trusted personal injury attorney? Use a wide range of variations there, because people are starting in that top level research phase. They're doing a lot of long tail searches, very detailed search, trying to find a firm that's specifically experienced with commercial trucking cases. Who has handled the most commercial trucking cases in San Diego? Like, people are getting that nuanced in search. And so start there and identify who is showing up consistently. Then there's an aspect of some reverse engineering on where are these platforms linking? What sources are they citing? How are they coming to the conclusion that this firm is the best in this category? And look to see, are they referencing a best of list, best of America, best of California, whatever lists are showing up, are you there? If you're not there, then clearly there's an opportunity to fill a gap and get your brand listed, whether it's a paid directory, a free listing, whether you're writing an article for it. Pursue those opportunities, Darren, because that type of effort today is much like the links of yesterday. And for anyone who's ever invested in search engine optimization in Google, they've likely heard that content and backlinks are the two major components of building authority to a website. A backlink is anywhere you get another website away from yours to link to your site, whether they're linking to your homepage or to a particular practice area page. That is a sign of trust. Going back to the EAT acronym, that is implying that they trust your site and your law firm enough to send their traffic to your site. So it's something Google has looked at for more than a couple of decades in assessing how to rank websites. Well, the next iteration of backlinks today is what we would consider more of a co-citation. That's just simply getting listed. Like, Darren, you've done a lot of podcasts. You're out there. You've done a wonderful job in a lot of different areas within legal. And so you're listed all over the web. Even when they don't link back to your website, just referencing Darren or just referencing your business is a sign of approval and is a positive signal. And we believe firmly that firms who are ignoring that and not constantly pursuing traditional public relations efforts online, they're going to miss the mark here. They're going to fall behind in generative search. And there's a huge opportunity for firms who see that and begin to aggressively pursue it.
Interesting. So podcasts would be great. Getting published on other websites. What are some other ways you could build that authority?
Sure. A very simple way to look at it: start with best of type lists. And they don't have to necessarily be categorized as best of. It could be top, it can be best, it can be most advanced, most experienced, anything to imply your history in this space or your success in this space. Those are good lists to be on online. And again, one of the best places to start would be, how are these other firms in my market showing up? What have they already leveraged with lists? And start there. Another way to do it, I talked about reviews, but not just on Google. Diversifying reviews across different platforms. Yelp, certainly. But there are other legal directories. Avvo. You have Martell Hubbell, Super Lawyers, Best Lawyers. There are a lot of these legal directories, legal specific directories, that even if they don't list you as best of, these are signals that imply that you're well entrenched in the legal profession. You're listed there under the personal injury category or family law category. Again, all signals that illustrate your relevance to the market. And even when they don't come with a backlink, they are just as valuable today from a generative search standpoint as backlinks have been from a Google search perspective.
Interesting. Well, thanks for those tips, Tanner. Let's talk a little bit about websites. And I'm curious, what are some of your top, most common mistakes you see on websites? I have some pet peeves. I'm wondering what yours are.
Yeah, where do I begin? Lots. I have some pet peeves as well. I go back to starting fundamentally with your clients. How are your clients beginning this process? Many law firms have built their book of business through referrals, either other trusted lawyers sending them business or happy clients that are referring them family members and friends. And that's because when there's trust there and you've never gone through a process before, it's a lot easier to walk through that process when someone else that you love, like, enjoy, trust has recommended you to that person. And so referrals are great. So the question is, how do you carry that concept to your website, knowing that not everyone who has been to your website knows you, likes you, and or trusts you already? Means you have to proactively establish that trust immediately upon landing. They often say, and I'm sure this timeline has even gotten shorter, but it's like you have less than 5 seconds, sometimes even less than that, to get attention and show that person that they've landed on the right page. So what do you need to do to offer that? Most firms ignore that, and they don't even include anything about their firm. No unique value proposition being represented on that homepage above the fold, meaning you're not telling the market why people hire you to begin with. They don't include any type of imagery or brand video upon landing on it. And so what firms are doing there is that they're battling anonymity in the market. Someone getting to the website and not knowing who's behind this. It could be a lead generation firm. I don't know who it is. People immediately, their eyes are drawn to human faces, and they immediately start judging. They immediately start assessing whether or not they like this person, whether they can get along with them. And I would encourage lawyers who are hesitant to put their face on their website, and I've spoken to thousands of those lawyers, Darren, over the years. I would tell them, get over yourself. People are hiring you personally. And so if you're concerned on how they're going to, interpret that, or you're afraid that maybe your counsel, your opposing counsel is going to get on there and criticize you for this or that, again, you have to be able to speak directly to that user. And the best way to do that is to showcase who you are as a law firm and why people hire you to begin with. So that's a big thing, Darren. And I see it all the time. Firms are just simply battling anonymity. And all it takes is a solid 2 to 3 minute brand video, ideally incorporating a client testimonial that tells the public how good you are, and not just you telling the public how good you are. So use that social proof aspect as well. And then a couple other fundamental pieces. Make it easy for someone to contact you. Very easily displayed phone number in the top right-hand corner. Ideally, it scrolls down as the user scrolls down the page. Good, easy to use, quick contact forms. This is something where a lot of users are totally ignoring. ADA compliance concepts, where like even with your contact forms, if you're putting name inside the field and as soon as you click in the name, that name disappears, well, that's not intuitive for a user. So there are very kind of seemingly small things that go a long way in increasing the usability of a web page. Type inconsistency, so big font type and then going to a completely different font right below that, it throws off the brand. It implies disorganization within the firm. So those types of things that most would overlook, but a designer would be very keyed in on, those go a long way in increasing conversion and building trust.
Great tips. You're giving me some ideas. Yeah, I've seen a lot of that. I love what you said there, battling anonymity. You want to really stand out. Another thing that I kind of see often is it's unclear what the law firm does. It should be super clear what you do and who you help right from the get-go. So great, Tanner. It's been really wonderful chatting with you. We're coming close to the end of our time here, but I want to give you the opportunity to share anything else that you think would be valuable to our listeners in this new digital world.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about some core concepts that are fundamentals, things that will serve you well. And so I would encourage you to begin doing that. The next piece is taking action. A lot of times, I mentioned before, when there's so much opportunity, it's so easy to get caught up in, where do we even, what step do we take? Which direction do we take? But I would encourage firms really think through that EAT concept. Like, the heart behind it is to illustrate why people would hire you to begin with. So these are things that reinforce your marketing. Once you've identified truly what is it about your experience, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness that draw people to you, that encourage other lawyers to refer business to you, and double down on that messaging. If you're concerned that messaging may or may not resonate, then take a sample size of clients that you've trusted over the years, and don't be hesitant to survey them. Draw out, like, what was it about us that attracted you to begin with? Why did you hire us? What was the experience like throughout? And use those narratives to drive that unique value proposition and reinforce that. Keep it consistent in everywhere you're putting your brand, whether it be digital or traditional. The other piece is to come back around accountability. There are so many successful firms that have simply plateaued because they haven't been accountable to those KPIs, the key point indicators, key performance indicators that we talked about earlier. So make sure that that's in place. And to simplify that for attorneys, if you don't have any KPIs in place right now, from a marketing perspective, make sure you have a good sense of how many leads, and there's no lead is a lead, in my opinion. It needs to be a qualified lead, a pursuing lead, someone that is calling in with interest in your services that are in your area and you have the ability to help them. That's a lead. Don't count junk leads, because that's going to skew your numbers. Count the actual leads that you want a shot at and be able to use those as benchmarks as you go forward. Accountability will drive success. Just simply being able to look at it, bring all parties who are invested in your marketing together at least once a month, look at those numbers. It can be a very efficient but very productive conversation if you're committing 30 minutes a month to that specifically.
That is a great structure. Well, Tanner, thank you so much for joining us. How can folks get in touch with you or your company if they'd like to learn more?
Sure. Yeah, we'd love the opportunity to speak with any law firm interested in growing their business. We start generally with a free consultation around their market area and provide guidance from there if we are a good fit for them. Best way to do that is just simply to reach out to us on Consultwebs.com. Give us a call or shoot us a contact form. We'll set up a call from there. And if I may, I'd encourage you to subscribe to our podcast, the Lawsome Podcast. We had Darren on the podcast recently and coming out with just an incredible interview. He gave out some golden nuggets for our listeners. And so we would encourage you to stop on by the Lawsome Podcast as well.
That was a lot of fun for sure. And one more question I forgot, but one thing we ask all of our guests at the Lawyer Millionaire, we have a book club for law firm owners. We read one book a quarter. This quarter, we're actually reading Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. Fabulous book for all law firm owners to read, I think, in my opinion. And it's free to join for any law firm owners who are interested. But I'm curious, Tanner, is there anything that you're reading right now that you're finding really, really helpful and insightful, or perhaps you could share one of your favorites?
Sure. I may take a different angle for your listeners, but I am a big believer in reading scripture. So that's going to, maybe come as a shock to some people, but I find like the legal profession truly can be one of the most stressful industries or professions out there. And I think it's so important for business owners to be able to come in every single day with a clean mind. With a desire that goes well beyond the business. And so I would encourage you to find whatever that may be for you. For me, it's scripture. But I would encourage listeners to find something that they can escape into to really clean the mind and be able to come into your office healthy, with the right mindset, with a hunger that goes well beyond just serving the next client or serving your business. And for me, that has served me extraordinarily well, way beyond ways I can even describe. But that's my bit of motivation for you this morning.
Yeah, thank you for that, Tanner. It really is important to take those moments to step out of the busyness of business and have those moments of reflection and thinking about life and meaning and purpose. So thank you so much for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been great having you on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Sounds good, Darren.
If there's one thing I want you to take away from today's episode, it's this. Your brand is more than a logo. It's the foundation of your marketing success. Don't just generate leads, convert them by building trust, showcasing your authority, and making your value crystal clear from the moment someone hits your website. Start tracking those KPIs, refine your intake process, and then build a brand that people remember. At the Lawyer Millionaire, we believe your law firm should be a wealth-building machine, not a stress factory. And that starts with intentional strategy on the marketing front and in your business and financial planning. We help law firm owners just like you put the right systems in place, grow their firms, and achieve lasting financial independence. Because that's what it's all about, isn't it? Whether you're scaling up or setting your sights on exit, we can help you get there. All right, help us out and join the Lawyer Millionaire Listener Challenge. Head on over to lawyermillionaire.com/challenge, leave a review, share your favorite episode, and submit your proof. You might just win a $100 gift card, a signed copy of my book, or even a private strategy session with me. Now, who is the Lawyer Millionaire? It's you, my friend. Own it and live it. I'm your host, Darren Wurz. I'll see you next time.